We're here at Zero Tolerance. We're about to do an engineering change, which is going to require us to take apart the cavity block. I'm here with Noah, and I'm going to show him how this comes together, or in other words, how it comes apart.
Fortunately, with this job, we have the CAD model, so we can take a look transparent view in the CAD to actually see how this mold comes apart and what's connected. Sometimes you don't have that. So that was a good question we had, is how do you know how to take it apart? Sometimes you don't when you get a job from someone else, but if it's something that you built or you got the CAD model from the customer, then you can definitely take a good look at the CAD before you take apart the mold.
This should be fun, but we got to make sure we do it in the right order. So we're going to lift this block up and take a look at what we're going to take apart real quick. The cavity blocks have to come out so they can be sinker EDM'd. So we had to add this texture to these. Actually, there's 4 areas that we're adding texture, but the blocks have to come out to go into the sinker machine, the Eagle. So what we're going to do is we got to take these blocks out. In order to do that, we got to take the water fittings off, which are tied to the blocks. The sprue is in here. We got to take that out. The locating ring. I'm kind of just going to lift this up and swing it around to show you, and then we're going to get taking all the screws out and everything. So we've got screws that hold the blocks in. We've got the locating ring, sprue bushing, which has got a screw, and more screws that are tied to the block. So what should we do first? Well, since we got this up in the air, we're going to have to take this out. Let's start with the sprue bushing and the locating ring. We're going to leave it attached to the crane right now. We're going to use our Allen wrenches and take this out. Sometimes the sprue bushings, they go in nice and easy when you put a new tool together, but when you're working on a tool that has made parts, sometimes there's flash and material from the plastic that can get in there and cause that whole sprue bushing to be really tight. So we may have to use a little brass knocker to pull it out from the other side, or it can come out just like this. We got lucky. So this is the sprue bushing. There's a little bit of a debris in there from running some parts, or looks like there's some chips in there because it wasn't cleaned properly. So we're going to get that apart, and now we can flip it around. And I think the next step is, one thing when you're taking apart a mold for sure, is you got to act like, even though this is hard steel, you got to act like it's soft. Just act like it's a work of art so that you don't damage any of the parting lines or any of the sharp edges. In a mold, there's sharp things that are sharp for a reason, and we just have to be real careful as to how we take it apart and put it back together. So the next thing we're going to do is take these water fittings out. I'll do this one, you can do the rest. Set this down a little bit. There we go. There's a couple different ways we can take the blocks out. Once we get these water fittings out on both sides, we can decide if we want to take the horn pins and the heel blocks out. If we don't have to, I'm gonna try not to. So I'm trying to get just these blocks out, so I can get them over to Jessica, and she can do the burns to make this texture happen. The less that has to come apart, the faster we can get through the job. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. If you got to take the whole thing apart, then you do. All right, the next step, I'm going to suggest that we flip this around. We're going to take the screws that hold the top part of this cavity out and see if we can get them to come out clean. If not, you can actually lay the whole thing down and then drop the cavity out from the back side. So the biggest thing is we want to do it safely and we don't want to damage anything. I've decided we're going to try to take this apart sideways. Trying to avoid taking the leader pins, or I'm sorry, horn pins out, which I think we could do. So we're going to take the safety strap out. We're actually going to lay this down and lift it up from the other direction. Alright, so now it's going to be a little more stable from the side. And if we do this right, we can do this together. So I'm going to kind of have it on an angle where you can see what we're doing. Well, first of all, do it this way. We're going to leave it attached. We're going to take the Allen wrenches and take these insert screws out of here. A lot of people will take tools apart with impacts or put them together with impact tools. Some of them are really good. Some of them make me nervous. Just depends on the tool. We're getting the screws out. Is the only way to get this block out of here. So I'm going to try to do one block at a time and leave the other ones in there, but I'm going to loosen the screws.
Should we take the runner shutoffs while the blocks are still in there, or when the blocks come out?
Once we get the blocks out, we can get the runner shutoffs out. Right now, all we want to do is get the blocks out of there. Alright, so what we're going to do is grab me like 2-inch longer screws so I can tap from the back and push that block out.
What are these, quarter 20s?
I believe they're 5/16.
Oh man, that's loose.
Yeah. Alright, so as long as you've got enough screws, you can get this out.
Bang, bang.
I don't think that should work. Alright, grab me that brass knocker. So what I did here, if I can show you, I just basically put longer screws in, so now I can tap this block forward. So if it's in there correctly, it should pop out pretty smooth, but the block's heavy. So I'm going to have you try to catch. It's not going to really fall because I have screws in it, which is another advantage of doing it this way. When it gets to the end, I'm going to have you tap them and I'll take it out so I can show you. You don't want to pinch your fingers. It's really hard to tell how much this weighs. This block probably weighs, 25 pounds, maybe 20 pounds. Okay, so now it's through and the screws are still attached, so it really can't crush my fingers. So now I'm going to put it back in there just a tiny bit, and then you can take the screws out. And then I'll take this block out all the way. There we go. So that's the one block. We'll probably leave, no, actually we're going to take out the heel and horn block also because, or heel pins and the horn block out of here, because when we do the EDM, that EDM fluid can get in these pockets. So we'll make it nice and clean. So now we're going to do the same thing on that side. It's going to be a lot easier because this was one big pocket. So I'm going to have you loosen those all the way. And we should be able to slide that right out of there. A lot of times you'll forget to take the water fittings out and the blocks get stuck in there. And you can't figure out why. It's happened to me many times. I believe there might be an additional screw in here, and that's for these heel horns, so you'll have to take these out too. tap here and there, back and forth. Like I said, when you start, always act like this stuff is very soft, even though it's hard steel at sometimes. So I was taught early, like, just treat it like it's a piece of art, and you'll have a lot less damage to deal with. Alright, so that's it. We got these blocks out. They can go to the sinker, I believe, but we're going to take out the heel blocks on these as well. While we're doing this, let's do it all the way. So you took the screws out for those, so those should come out. They should press out of there pretty easy. I don't know if they're numbered. Sometimes stuff doesn't get numbered when you make a new tool, and that's just a mistake. There's a checklist typically. You want to have this stuff numbered. So if we can't find it, or we'll want to either mark it with a marker and engrave it later, or use a pencil grinder and do it right now. For now, we're going to just say that this is ready. And this one we're going to take apart also, which it requires these 4 screws. It's really nice, they slide in and out. Most of the time they end up getting sticky is when the molds run a lot and a lot of plastic debris or flash or something falls into an area. But that came out pretty clean. So there we go. We got our block out, both of them out, ready to go to the EDM. Nice. Yep. One last thing we need to do is take apart or take out these runner shutoffs. There's a couple different companies that make them. They work well. It's kind of a cool option. They have a hex built inside them, but they just come out like that. We got both of these. There's kind of a cool mechanism in there, so we really don't want that going into the EDM fluid. So it'll be a lot cleaner when we put it back together, and then the mold will last a lot longer. Now we're ready to go. Ready to go to the sinker. Molds back together, ready to go back to the customer. Thanks for watching. See you next time.